So, what's your favorite color?
Oh, shit, yeah. Oh, my God. As you can see, I went to do my hair yesterday and couldn't choose a color. So I just chose them all.
No, but let me start with, first of all, thank you all for coming. And thank you for coming, Hrafnhildur. It has been an honor and also very fun to work with you for the past 3 weeks. Just a very short introduction. And as Karin already told us, our director, Hrafnhildur Arnardóttir, Shoplifter, has been exploring the artistic potential of hair, both natural and synthetic, for more than 2 decades. And her body of work largely consists of sculptures, big and small, and installations. And they effortlessly move between art, fashion, and design. Her work is anchored between what I would say a fascination of pop culture and also a deep admiration of folk art and handicraft. And humor also plays a large but subtle role in the artist's work. Shoplifter's work have been exhibited all over the world, and as Karin also told us, she represented Iceland at the Venice Biennale in 2019. And in addition to the exhibition here at Nordatlantens Brygge, that is also the first big solo presentation of your work in Denmark. You have upcoming shows in Canada and Germany later this autumn.
Next week, actually.
Yeah, next week. Yeah, sorry. As well as a solo exhibition at Aros Museum in Aarhus in December this year.
I haven't got enough of Denmark yet.
No.
Yes. It's
luckily for us, yeah. But that's it for a short intro. But what I think everybody wants to know is why and when did you decide to work with hair as a creative medium?
Yeah, it's interesting because, sometimes I feel like material almost chooses you because, I am, very inspired by pop culture and by people and our fascination and obsession with our own hair. And I was, I'm an 80s child, so hairdos and asymmetrical perms and color and everything has been a really, been there, done that, But I kind of blame Boy George a little bit for it because I couldn't get the hair extensions that Boy George had in Culture Club. My hairdresser in Iceland couldn't do it, so when I look back, it goes way back, like you were saying, with the smyk, with the flower, like a brooch. I became. I found, one of these flowers, when I was working in an antique shop in Iceland, and I just was so mesmerized by the fact that you can take the human hair and it can outlive you. Mm-hmm. And it's called memory flowers. It's very rich Scandinavian tradition, and also in Iceland. And that was kind of just really affected me, as well as me tiptoeing into my grandmother's room, to take a look at her cut-off braid when I was 6. Mm-hmm. So I guess that, subconsciously, when I picked up my first hair extension pack in New York, little did I know, how that would end. It was just like this small thing. Mm-hmm. So I think that, sometimes, like material, if you're just kind of in tune with, what makes you tick, I think that the material kind of just comes to you, in a way, like it's just intuition and, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's so interesting how, present somehow hair is in our culture, and both consciously and unconsciously, it's both so very familiar to us, all of us or most of us has hair, and it's also very unfamiliar, the hair that you find on your pillow in your hotel room,
Yes,
very uncanny somehow, we all know that feeling somehow,
I'm still horrified when I find, with hair in the shower, but then again, I'm, once it's on our body, we are just fine with it, and then when it's off,
Yeah.
or in the soup or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
It's not that great.
Yeah.
Unless it's like the neon hair. Maybe all of you will like be finding like neon hair in your homes for years to come.
Years to come, yeah, I guess so. Now, to put it a little bit maybe in context, I mean, during the last year in Denmark, that was, as all of the countries in Europe and the rest of the world were, of course, in lockdown during some time during the pandemic. I started to notice how the hairdressers or hair salons, they started to play kind of like a big role in the public discussion about COVID-19. And we talked about this already, you know, it was almost like a metaphor for the time somehow. They were closed, nobody could get a haircut, everybody were growing their hair, you know, out somehow.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the hairdressers were one of the first businesses to open in Denmark, you know, when everything started to open up, long before the museums, you know. So
yeah. No, I think that, you know, because, you know, when it comes to our hair, you know, we are so obsessed with it, and, you know, we're continuously trying to tame it. So with like going to the hair salon and, you know, so, you know, when you can't go to the hair salon, you're just like, you know, turning into some beast, you know, and it's such a big part of our identity, and to keep it in check, you know. So it also is, one of the reasons I started using it is because I consider, you know, people just to be so incredibly inspiring, and our like insane creativity when it comes to choosing our own hairstyle. So I think everybody has to make a creative decision when it comes to their hair. So we were going through like, unfulfilled artistic creation, you know, with like being able to go to the hair salon. Yeah.
Or, I mean, making, I mean, in the context I was just telling you about, I mean, it was even a political decision, because what was so humorous was that then we were all watching the news, and then you saw each week all the politicians, they had more and more of a bad hair day every day, you know?
Yeah.
And they were saying, like, you know, we are all in the same boat. Although I am kind of like the Minister of Foreign Affairs, I even can't get a haircut, you know? Look at my hair, it's terrible, you know?
There was a scandal with Nancy Pelosi because she was known to have like snuck into her hairdresser. And it was a big scandal. I mean, they were looking for problems, you know? Yeah. Shocking hairdo.
Yeah. But let's zoom in a little bit and focus on the exhibition here at Nordatlantens Brygge, the fantastic work that you will, of course, all see and experience in a few moments, Nervescape IX. The exhibition is part of a series that you titled Nervescape, and it's a site-specific installation.
Yeah, I started, the first time I did the Nervescape artwork was in New York at Clock Tower Gallery, founded by Alana Heiss and curated by her. Was the last show that was shown in this very historic gallery in this old clock tower in a federal building downtown New York. And there was this structure that I, you know, decided to completely fill, you know, because I've always like kind of wanted, you know, the artwork to kind of really fill up your view, and with these different colors, and it ended up like becoming almost like, you know, I graduated from painting department in Iceland, then I went to New York for to study, and I still live there, been there 25 years now, and suddenly I was just painting abstract landscape, or like expressionistic landscape painting with hair. And I decided to name it Nervescape. It's kind of, I'm really into, you know, I read a lot about neuroscience and, you know, human behavior and what makes us tick and our emotional systems. And so the hair kind of starts to look a little bit like the neurological pathways and the veins in our body and the landscape under our skin. And so I created a word that's a splice between nerves and then landscape, or even escape. So nervescape is like this, you know, kind of being lost in your own emotional system, or found in your, not lost, you know, maybe just find yourself, you know, moving through your own thought systems.
But what is also so interesting and also kind of like relates to the name of the series is that, of course, the work also impacts our own nervous system somehow through color, through textures.
Yes,
through, like moving the body through this vast landscape somehow.
Yeah, I mean, to me, when I started using this material in this way and doing these really colorful installations, I was talking about, how the color, penetrates your retina and, like wakes up, your nerve endings. And then I started to I decided like just, a year ago, maybe I should have done it earlier, just to Google it, to make sure that I wasn't just like, but I knew I was kind of imagining it, but that's what I kind of saw. And it turned out that it's scientifically proven that colors, they go in through your eyes into your receptors that start pumping out dopamine and endorphins and all the feel-good chemicals. So it's literal. I'm just a realist, basically. But also, like, what was the other thing? Oh, yeah. And then I was like thinking of the thought about this as like some like nervous system, in the brain, like if I could, kind of like picture that. I was doing like smaller artwork like that with the hair like in tangles. And then, like a few years ago, they came out with the latest brain scans of mapping the neurological pathways in the brain, neurosystem. And it's just like my work. It's like uncanny. It's like, I got goosebumps, because once again, I'm just, realist.
Yeah. Or, I mean, this is what you artists are really good at, seeing things before they kind of like, happen or make them into being somehow, I think that's one of the strongest or the most important thing about art somehow. But it's also
like from an intuition, and then sometimes you just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I think you do that all the time. Or the nail gun to the wall. Yeah. No, but it's also. I mean, it's. I think also the exhibition couldn't come at a better time now because I think we really, after all of this lockdowns, isolation, etc. maybe we all need some serotonin, some dopamine to our
absolutely
brains,
it's just so wonderful to see like how literal it works on us. And I think that yes, now like summer's over and it's just an explosion of the happiness.
Yeah, I hope so. I haven't been this happy for a long time, I think.
Start like charging for that.
Yeah,
I should be a psychiatrist.
Yeah. But the work is constructed entirely out of multicolored synthetic hair extensions, and as I might want to add, that you reuse for each exhibition. I think that's very important.
Yeah, it's important for me to people know that as at the same time that I'm like addressing this like onslaught of mass production, I'm also, part of the problem because I get a lot of it. So there's a contradiction. In order to address it, I become like a massive consumer of it. But I reuse it all, and I even like, my assistants are always like laughing because I'm like, put it in the back, because everything else, I use everything in one way or another in other work, smaller work, and whatever. So it's very important for me that it's known that I don't throw anything away.
Yeah.
I'm a true hoarder.
But was it like a logical step for you to move on from natural hair to synthetic hair when your work started kind of like getting bigger or expanding?
Yeah.
Or is it is there other kind of like ideas behind the use of this specific material?
Yeah, at first I was inspired by human hair, so I wanted to use, natural hair colors to kind of like, because the work was commenting on like, or connecting to the person or people. And then, I start playing with this, and I'm like really inspired by Nordic tapestries that I grew up with in the 70s and 80s. And 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 then I realized that I'm a Scandinavian textile artist, and with gray hair that I'm kind of changed now today. And then I was like, wow, that's just wonderful. I want to embrace it. And mine is a little bit more macho, because I use unconventional ways of creating my work with like staple guns, and so it's like a little bit more punk. But the color, it was like I can't understand how long color it took me a long time to bring color into the work. But I think it's like when I started using this other kind of Halloweenish hair, and it like had all this volume, and I was working on a show with a Brazilian friend of mine, that I like finally just brought the colors in, and it's the rest is history.
Yeah.
Colorful history.
You could say, yeah. But I mean, there's another, I think, source of inspiration that we can't really get around, because you are from Iceland, I am also from Iceland, We have a volcanic eruption ongoing now, as we speak, that you can see from out the window from my parents' house,
Yeah.
And it's like untamed wild nature,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, the nature is like, I don't even try to pretend, that it has nothing to do with my work. I mean, the nature and the elements, we're just so, we're dealing with it and we're in combat with, the elements all the time. And somebody, my hairdresser actually was like talking yesterday about like, so like how come, like how did you end up thinking like in such large scale? And I realized that it's probably, and I was answering him, and I realized that it's probably like this Icelandic landscape like that, and there is so many distances. So for me to have like some elbow room and like look at something far away, I realized that I was like maybe missing that, because in New York, I don't have to focus on anything more than 2 meters away from me for like months, And I come to Iceland, I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, it's like something very far away. The horizon.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that and the work in Venice also was really inspired by this kind of subterra underground caves, and it's like something about the brutalism of lava, even though it's not black what I do necessarily or something like that. But it definitely has and moss.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. And now you are after 25 years of being in New York, you are back in Iceland, or at least for a bit. How does that feel?
It feels great. Yeah. I didn't know how I was going to feel about it, because I haven't been more than 3 months in Iceland in 25 years. I was like, okay, am I going to get like some, island fever, like cabin fever? But when I left, then, I kind of was eager to see the world and eager to be in the world and, like get off the island, whatever. And I realized now when I came back to Iceland that, I brought the world with me, because I've already, experienced it and lived it. And I'm going back to New York, and I'll be traveling a lot more between the two countries because of this new project that I have Höfuðstöð in, which is a permanent installation of the Venice artwork in Iceland. And I celebrate it because, I've always had super strong roots in Iceland and just played a part in the art scene, and, so it's never been just one or the other. Yeah.
Fantastic, yeah. And so great that you finally managed to, or we finally managed to make this happen here in Copenhagen.
Thank you for inviting me to. I was so excited when you invited me to show here, like what, 3 years?
3 years ago.
3 years ago?
I think so, yeah.
It's been like really, so like the material was in, boxes for like 2 years.
2 years.
Like, how about this fall? Oh, like, how about this spring? Finally.
We made it happen, yeah, that's good. Maybe that's a good final,
No, it's been great to work with you.
Words. Yeah.
Yeah.
You too.
And I think the Nordatlantens Brygge and everybody here, Karen, for great receiving me with such great flexibility and open-mindedness and stuff that you need to have when you meet me. A lot of like A lot of like, okay, yeah.
We managed.
No, it's been great to work here, and I love being in Denmark. So yay!
Great. Thank you.
Thank
Let's
you.
give Hrafnhildur Arnardóttir Shoplifter a applause. Thank you.